Crimson Peak is a classic Gothic romance, and it's basically the age-old story of a young woman falling in love, traveling to a distant, crumbling residence, and uncovering a secret in her lover's past.
I think 3 carpets, right?
Action!
Guillermo Del Toro is probably, if not definitely, the primary interpreter of Gothic romance in contemporary cinema. There is something singular and unique about his vision, his fingerprint as an artist, and his ability essentially to make stories that seem to deal with the supernatural, that deal with ghosts, and make them intensely, emotionally real.
Crimson Peak should not be confused with a horror film for me. It is a Gothic romance. Now, Gothic romance is a very time-honored tradition that skates really close to horror. It can have ghosts, it can have crumbling castles, it can have the trappings of a horror film or a horror story, but it's ultimately a journey through the story of a love affair or a love story, you know? You journey through the trappings of the Gothic, which is virginal central character, transiting through a world of darkness, discovering a secret, a treasure, or a dark past, and emerging on the other side transformed.
There's something running outside.
Crimson Peak is also about survival. Crimson Peak is about loss of innocence. Crimson Peak is about awakening. It's about acknowledging who you are. Crimson Peak is the story of a strong young woman whose strength and youth and womanhood are challenged by the darkness of a mystery behind another man and another woman from a different world.
Action!
Thomas, I saw a woman in the elevator.
A woman? You mean a
No, it wasn't.
He's very emotional and very instinctive and responsive. I never would have thought this was a film that was kind of always evolving, because we had a rehearsal period and we would read the scripts and the scenes and talk about things, but then, and I thought that was kind of it, but then when we got on set and he sort of would see how we were playing things and see how the dynamics were coming out between the characters, he then would kind of like, or, you know, comments that people would make, he would then kind of like get really hooked on certain things that people would say and comments that were made, and then he'd kind of go away and at night and come back the next day and be like, I had an idea, and the whole thing would just keep changing. Edith is, you know, she's very strong-willed and a bit of a loner, I guess. She likes to think she's very intellectual and very sort of sure of things. But in a way, I think, unfortunately, like the more she loses, the more it kind of actually benefits her in a strange way.
Action! For me, the real horror in all my stories is the humans. It's not the ghosts. The ghosts may be scary for a moment and this and that, but the real horror comes from the human heart and the human spirit. And I think that is sort of a different slant I've always had in Devil's Backbone, in Chronos, Pan's Labyrinth, everything that goes counter to everything you normally see in the horror genre.